In this video, I want to talk about everyday wellness, and in particular, I want to talk about this concept of directedness. And directedness starts with the foundation of self-direction and orienting yourself in a way, and in a way that is energizing in particular. So there's energy, there's often stimulation before we have activation, but there's stimulation in which it's oriented towards meaning and what we find meaningful, but also what we find significant. And this tends to pull or push us in various directions and help us to move in various directions. And directedness is being able to establish a way or form a course through a set of events or situations or conditions, and cultivates various types of motivation, such as a sense of hopefulness or optimism towards the future and adaptability in relation to those, as well as it shapes our perceptions, motivations, emotions, feelings, and actions in a positive way that often allow us to recourse against various obstacles or setbacks, exercising our planning, our decision making, our innovative thinking skills, and adaptability. And this ultimately can improve our well-being through how changes that are occurring in the real time, but have long-term developmental and can be aggregated. So these minor level transformations and positive impacts can be scaled up and allow us to perform more difficult tasks in the future simply by getting started and developing more in this directed way, in a way that we've made these incremental goals or we've nudged ourselves in various ways towards more of what we find meaningful, and which cultivates this meaning-laden and value-laden process, various meaning-laden, value-laden expressions that allow us to achieve our own definitions of success and accomplishment, but also address our needs for autonomy, our own personal interests, cultivate those, discover the self, as well as also where our strengths and weaknesses, get a level head and balance of that, and regulate ourselves more in this positive direction, so lowering the frequency of negative emotions, negative feelings, negative perceptions, negative motivations, negative actions, negative behaviors that can be detrimental to our health and well-being, and promoting the opposite, facilitating positive change and positive long-lasting change through our direction and where we're energizing ourselves and putting our energy into, and how we're fueling various mind, body, environment constituencies across the self, and how we're developing not just those structures and processes in them, but how we're maintaining our well-being of each aspect, and how we're developing a greater awareness and recognition of various aspects of the self and how they impact the self and our well-being through honing in on various skills or attributes or sources of knowledge and expanding upon that. You know, maybe it's our improving upon our decision-making skills or enhancing our memory in some way using various techniques or like such as note-taking or various mnemonic devices, which are basically coming up with an acronym to be able to remember something easier, or problem solving. It's more flexible, so we're engaging more in the local environment and thinking of innovative ways that we can go about solving a problem. And when we're, say, posed with a difficult situation, we're not necessarily giving up right away. We're even in the face of all these setbacks, we can be constantly trying to find a solution that's proactive instead of focusing on the problem and coming back to what's wrong with the situation, instead of looking at what can be done in that situation and what we're open to in the current moment that can allow us to progress more towards a positive future. And that's directedness. It's being able to direct ourselves in these positive trajectories rather than get fixated on the problems and the negatives, because when we get fixated on those negatives, we start to set ourselves back and we start to lose our direction, but also we can stumble into more of these sedentary patterns in which nothing, like there's no real need to engage in anything meaningful, or even the meaning that's direct to experience. There's no need to engage in any sort of perception, motivation, emotion, feeling, action, or behavior, and there's this stagnation of meaning. And it's not like it's not there, the meaning goes on without us, and our perceptions, motivations, emotions, feelings, actions, and behaviors, whether you may like it or not, they're going on too. They're always active, and they're processing. Even if you just sit there, there's perceptions to that, there's motivations to that, there's emotions to that, there's feelings to that. That's an action. There's actions to that. That's a behavior. There's behaviors to that. And the meaning that we can get from that, just forming that sensation and starting to direct the course of the next one, can orient us in more of these positive directions that can have a cumulative impacts on us the more we engage in them, and the more we develop this directedness and start to direct our way. Everything doesn't have to go according as planned, and you don't even have to plan that much. You just need to plan a little and just nudge yourself forward, and to think more flexibly and develop more of a hopefulness, as well as towards an optimistic trajectory, as well as building greater resiliency when there are these setbacks, adaptability, and efficacy ultimately too. And that's just giving things the effort and the energy and attention it needs to be able to get more of that meaningful process from what you want, and to facilitate a meaningful process within the self. And you really have to connect what you find meaningful to the surroundings to be able to do that, and to move in this directed way that matures us as individuals, and that can allow us to become more integrated and allow us to express ourselves in more authentic ways. So that's all I wanted to say for this video, and I hope you enjoyed that.